to show you. This is Kinsey, my chinchilla. He's actually a pretty shy guy. He's not very social with the other animals. Barbara here is like one of his only friends. She's been like reaching out to him, trying to make him more social with the others. And it's like kind of working, because I mean, like, he'll sometimes hang out with just Barbara. Half of you are like finding this as entertaining as I do, and the other half of you are like, she's nuts. Okay, anyway, this is the last video I'm making for you, because tomorrow the assignment, I'm like, I don't need to make a video for that. So the last time, well, okay, not the last time you'll see my face, because there's Thursday. Speaking of Thursday, my last live stream with you, because this is my last week. Mr. Wang is coming back next Monday for the last 2 weeks of the semester. So Thursday's my last live stream with you. Come join so I can say goodbye. And I have really exciting news to tell you, so please come to that live stream so I can tell you my exciting news. Okay. And just to let you know what's happening for today and tomorrow. So today we're doing just a quick quick lecture about talking about solutions, because we've talked so much about like human impact and understanding like what we've been doing, how our actions can impact the earth. It would just be kind of like a downer if we didn't look at things we can actually do about this, like actions we can take to make things better, so that we end on a little bit of an upside. So that's what today's video is going to be about. And I also am having you watch this video after you watch this lecture. It's called Story of Solutions, and I already put it in Canvas. And the reason I'm having you watch this video is because it talks about how to think about solutions, and how not all solutions are actually sustainable. And that's kind of like, I have you watching one video today and one video tomorrow that are kind of like this theme of like, solutions have to be well thought through. Just because someone claims like this is a solution that's helping, the environment, and maybe from the surface it kind of looks like that, it's really important to really like think about what the solution is actually doing and how is it really helping the environment, because sometimes what looks like a solution is actually causing more problems in the long run. So that's why I want you to like see those videos and just like think about that a little bit. And the other reason is the other thing I wanted you to get out of these videos and this lecture, and basically like this entire unit, is that it's really, really hard to be living sustainauly. What you'll notice is that the systems set in place just by local government and authorities and whatnot, just our current systems are really against us. And by us, I mean anyone who wants to be more environmentally friendly. It's possible, it's just really hard. It's not made easy for us. And so I think, when we talk about like government solutions, like that's kind of where you have to go to when you want to think about making it easier for people to be environmentally friendly. And that video for tomorrow, so tomorrow you're gonna come up with a few, at least one personal commitment and action that you think is feasible in your own life that you could commit to. And I'm going to put a video for you to watch. It's really funny. I know I'm not having you answer questions about it or anything, but I'm telling you, it's funny in the sense that you don't know whether to laugh or cry. And it's about very smart people who thought of a solution to a problem with the best of intentions, and it turned out terribly. And so the whole point of that video is that, sometimes good intentions are not enough. And like the catch line of the video is something like, great idea with the best of intentions. What could possibly go wrong? And anyway, you're gonna laugh. I promise. Just watch it. You're You're gonna laugh. Yes, it actually happened. Okay, moving on. All right, so environmental solutions. Okay, so real solutions that are actually going to be like in the long term, helpful and successful. It has to bring together politics, economics, and citizens. So solutions can't just be all individual. You have to, on a global level, accomplishing really big change, like our current climate situation, like individual acts are important. I'm definitely not trying to downsize them, but they are not the only thing that has to be done to really make a difference. So you need solutions to be kind of beneficial for business, people, and the environment. So those kinds of solutions are what's really going to be feasible and successful and sustainable in the long term. Because like, let's face it, we're a economics driven society. If you have an organization or business or whatever that's trying to be sustainable but they're not profiting, like, it's not going to work. Like, it's not going to be successful. So you need a solution where the economics, people, and the environment are going to benefit all together, and then that's actually it's actually sustainable. Like, it's not gonna burn out after a little bit amount of time or whatever. Okay, so we're gonna talk about changing things on the government level, and I didn't talk about this a lot ever really through this unit, only because, and it's not because I don't think it's important. It's actually very important. Because you need both. You need the big changes at the government level, and it's also important to have individual changes at your in your actual home and life and whatnot. And the reason I really only focused on looking at our own personal consumption habits in our own life and thinking about ways that we can change them is just because with the current situation of you were sheltered in place, a lot of what you normally would be able to do was taken away from you. Like, you couldn't go to restaurants, you couldn't go and hang out with your friends in person without masks on and whatever. And so I recognized that this was a really stressful time, and I really wanted to stay away from talking about things that kind of seem too out of our control. Like, sometimes government stuff, trying to lobby for new changes and new laws at our government level, it can be really frustrating, really discouraging, because you're trying and nothing's happening, whereas in your individual life you have much more control over deciding, hey, I want to make changes in my life. And so I wanted to focus on that, just because I didn't want you to feel any more discouraged about this unit than you might have already been feeling stressed out about what was currently going on. So that's why I've left out all the government stuff from this unit. But I'm bringing it back just to talk about really quickly here. So at the government level, like I said, it's really hard to be sustainable, and the systems are against us. And a lot of what's causing climate change, they're happening at a level that's really outside of our reach. So think like big manufacturers and business and corporations and whatnot. So really, we need laws and regulations that are going to protect the environment. We just don't have good enough laws and regulations set in place. And we need ways, people, organizations, and ways to enforce those laws. And without laws and regulations in place, we're really not going to be making as much of a difference as we really need to be. And that's why paying attention to your local authorities, your leaders, people that want you to elect them. I know you can't vote right now, but it's still important to pay attention to these people and what they're saying, and kind of demanding, what are you going to do about, how are you going to make changes to protect our environment and stuff like that, because we only have this one planet to live on, and if we mess it up, there is no plan B. There's no planet B. And then, financial assistance for more sustainable practices, so that it makes it easier to be sustainable and environmentally friendly. So at the government level, we're trying to change the rules of the system to make it easier to do what's right for the planet. And our economic system, if you haven't really been aware of it from all that we've been talking about with our consumption, our economic system is highly based on stuff, buying stuff, using stuff, accumulating stuff. And our economic system is really just geared towards just consuming, instead of thinking about how am I going to responsibly get rid of the things that I've consumed and put it back into the environment without it being harmful. And so what I'm hoping is that you become more aware of how you consume in your day-to-day life, and maybe more aware of what specific pieces of consumption are not as necessary for you. And one of the ways that we can kind of shift away from this highly capitalistic consumption-based society is kind of shifting from stuff to services. So maybe instead of buying things for your loved ones at Christmas, maybe you could offer them a service, hey, I'm going to take you to dinner, instead of buying them a thing. I'm not saying to do that. I'm just saying that's one idea of and you don't always have to buy people things, because sometimes it's more meaningful to say hey, I'm gonna take you to this place, and we're gonna have a day together all to ourselves, and we're gonna spend time together. Sometimes that's more meaningful for different people. Another way to really change our economic system is full cost pricing. So full cost pricing is basically it makes things more expensive, because you're including the price of any environmental damage that was involved in the extraction and manufacturing process, or any pollution or whatever. You're including all that, and all that it costs all of the cost on our environment is included in the actual money cost of the product. So I guess it's to help people kind of realize this is what this specific item is costing the planet, and making us as consumers bear the burden of that cost can make us more conscious about our purchases, and not just buy things I just want to just buy things without thinking about it, is the idea behind full cost pricing. So as an example, wood doesn't always include the cost of deforestation, and animals are losing their habitats and stuff like that. And maybe if that cost was included into the cost of furniture, people might be a little more hesitant to buy any kind of furniture. Maybe it would be a little cheaper if the furniture was harvested sustainably and had the certification of FSC or whatever, stuff like that. And then maybe that might help people be just a little more conscious about their spending and their consumption. And wood's just one example. Clothes also. If you get a chance to look on that website, good on you, and you look at the really sustainable clothing brands, they're expensive. I'm not gonna pretend that being sustainable and whatever is cheap or anything. It's definitely not. It's definitely really expensive. And sometimes I even struggle to say that it's expensive, because maybe what we're used to is just actually really, really cheap, and it's this other stuff that's more of a honest price. But because we're so used to shirts being less than $20 or whatever, anything above that just seems really expensive to us. And so clothes is another example of when you take into account the fact that it's usually made across the ocean and not made in America, and you need the energy spent from transporting the clothes from wherever across seas back to America, etc., and all the transportation, yeah, I understand why it's more expensive. And then paying all the people that are laboring to make the clothes, I understand why it's more expensive. It's still expensive though. And I've been trying to change my mindset to be more of a, you know, quality over quantities, in the sense that I invest once, something more expensive than I would normally prefer, but I invest once into something that's very high quality. It's going to last me like 20 years. And so then, you know, over the span of many, many years, and I wear it over and over and over again, it decreases the cost little by little every time I wear it again, you know, because I got like so many wears out of it. So yeah, I'm slowly trying to like, you know, shift my mindset into thinking about investing into something high quality, but then purchasing less often, because I don't have to replace it as often. Again, I recognize that not everyone will have like the, you know, privilege to be able to do those kinds of things. So I fully recognize that. This is all about just like putting options out there of ways that we can be more conscious in our consumption habits. Okay, at the citizen level, that is us, our individual lives. Reducing consumption of material goods. Some stuff is just not as necessary to be buying as frequently as we normally do. I have a friend, I love her to death, she's my best friend, and she told me, like, before, like, you know, you couldn't go to the malls and whatever, she told me one day she just bought 3 cardigans, and I said, why? And she said, because they were on sale and I couldn't pass up the sale, so instead of just buying 1, I bought 3. And I know her closet very thoroughly because I borrow clothes from her all the time. And I was like, you have plenty of cardigans. And she's like, yeah, but it was on sale. And I was like, okay, whatever. I mean, I'm not really a shopper anyway, so I didn't really understand it. But like, my mother's like that too. It's like the whole, but there was a sale. And I've been trying to tell my mother, like, that doesn't mean you have to buy something just because it's on sale. And so honestly, just like not buying as much, and just recognizing that you don't always need to buy something just because it's on sale, or just some stuff is just not as necessary to be, you know, purchasing all the time. And so just like finding ways to kind of reduce your consumption is one thing on the individual level that really does a lot, because as we've been saying all along, consumption, that whole capitalism mindset of society, consumption is driving a lot of the environmental problems that we see, because our demand for anything, you know, is the reason that companies will continue, you know, being unsustainable or doing non-environmentally friendly practices or whatever. It's because our demand keeps them in business. Increasing reuse, repair, and recycling. I'm now just trying to learn how to repair my things. So, you know, I used to be like, oh, it's broken, throw it in the trash. And now I kind of like have this conscience where like I just feel badly about putting things in the trash, unless it's like truly like there's nothing to do about this. And so I'm trying to learn how to be more of a handy person, and you know, learn how to reuse and repair my stuff. And I encourage all of you to learn some handy person skills, just to like be able to repair your stuff. It feels actually really nice just to know that you could save yourself money by just repairing this thing that you like, instead of throwing it out and trying to buy a new one. So like your clothes, or, you know, whatever, anything that breaks in your life, maybe you could repair it. I don't know, furniture, etc. Purchasing ethical products that are sustainable. I already mentioned this earlier. There are a ton of ethical brands out there. If you just like, you know, do some research, it's expensive. I mean, it's more expensive than what we're normally used to. And so sometimes you have to think like, is the quality better? Like, in the sense that it won't break or wear down as easily or as quickly. And in that case, maybe the quality is worth it just for that like big investment at once. it's a pretty individual decision that you have to come to about like what is really worth it for your wallet or your parents' wallet. But yeah, there's a ton of ethical and sustainable brands. If you want to ask me for any of my suggestions on brands that I know of for different products, ask me on Thursday. I'd be happy to share. And just remember what I told you about watching out for greenwashing. Just because a company might claim to be ethical and sustainable, you want to make sure they actually are, because, I mean, sustainability and environmental friendliness is kind of becoming more popular these days, and companies know that, so they want to kind of, jump on that bandwagon and say like, hey, we're environmentally friendly too, but you want to make sure that they're actually doing something that makes sense in terms of like sustainability. Voicing concerns to government officials. Again, we need to, our individual actions are great. They are important. They are super important. But we also need to take, what the actions we take in our individual lives to the next level, like our local governments, from our governments to our state governments, and then our federal government, and kind of just moving up the ladder of authority, so that those people in authority can make rules and regulations that are going to better like protect our environment, like protecting our ecosystems, preventing land destruction in favor of building more apartments or something. I don't know, and then you actually have a lot of power to raise awareness just by, like, honestly, your generation, like people that are younger than the age of voting and everything, like high schoolers and collegiates, you guys are really leading like the movement of demanding sustainability and like a better environment. And so, like, don't feel like just because you're young you can't do anything. You have so much power. There are so many like groups and organizations now, like for people your age in high school, whatever, that are like just fighting for change. And so your voice is one of the most important things, one of the most important tools that you have for, making change or advocating for change. And then, volunteering your time. When you volunteer your time and your energy, you're saying that something is worth your time. Something is worth part of your life, because you're not going to get that time back. And so by saying, I'm willing to volunteer such and such hours of my day to, restore a wetland or whatever that's been completely polluted and trashed, you're saying that our environment is worth your time, and it's it should be worth other people's time. It's really powerful when you kind of make when you make statements with your actions like that. And then also, like, the people you're connected to, your people in your life, just like when you take actions and they kind of notice your actions, you have an opportunity to say, hey, well, I'm making this choice because, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's your reasons for making this choice because it's better for the environment. And that's really powerful too. Like, because of the actions that I've started taking in my own life, my mom now, like, slowly but surely, like, I mean, I don't know about surely, but slowly, like, little things that she's using containers more instead of saran wrap, and she bought a one of those mesh bags to, like, put groceries in at the bulk bin section of Whole Foods and stuff like that. So yeah, I just want you to know that do not underestimate what it is possible for you to do as a young person, or as just a person in general. And I hope that you feel encouraged that you have so much power to make changes for the better. Even if they're small changes, I mean, it all adds up. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this unit. I've really had fun, like, just going through this unit with you and planning these activities. I hope you found it, kind of interesting just to explore your own life. And remember, like, this just continues throughout your life. I'm continuously always reevaluating things in my life. Like, what is this? Do I need this? And how am I doing in terms of, like, the amount of waste I'm generating? So I want to hear your personal commitments on Thursday that you come up with tomorrow, and please do watch that video. The video for tomorrow, it's so funny. You're gonna love it. Okay. Yeah, that's all. I'll see you Thursday. Please come. I have exciting news, and it's my last time that I get to see you. Well, or you get to see me. Okay. Bye.